Love your community. Who likes our new Transform logo behind, huh? Yeah, fantastic. And they're just showing all sorts of communities with the love heart in it, also the cross in it, that it's so important that we're reaching out to our community. You know, there were two things that God told us to do. He said this, he said, one, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. And secondly, he said, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. You know, two ways of which we can go through life. And sometimes so many of us give so much attention to one, but maybe we don't give the attention to the other. In fact, we can come like we have today and give our praise and worship to God and our prayer, and so wonderful it is. And throughout the week, we may go through our work and give thanks to what God will do and the things that we will see and nature that we will be involved in and entertainment that will happen, and we will give so much thanks of everything that God has done. And one of our hands is giving thanks to the one with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul. But the question today and the challenge that comes to each and every one of us is, what are we doing with our other hand? Because even on the cross, I see a God who was connecting with, I see Jesus who was connecting with one hand with God, even though he couldn't look at him because of the sin upon him. And yet there came a cry from the other side which said, remember me. And there at that moment of pain, a hand of humanity was stretched forward from Christ himself and said, today you'll be with me in paradise. And this week, as we will go into our worlds, can we be people who love God with all our hearts, all our minds, and all our souls, and yet still go into a world with a hand that reaches out to people who need us to love them, to put an arm around them, to cheer them on, to cheer them up, and help them to know that there's a better life in store for them. So right in front of you today, you've got a number of things. We've had to put smaller text, so I apologize for that. But this is for you to take away and for also to have a look, just to highlight just a couple of things that are within this, and then we're going to move on. We have our Restore program that has been going for 5 years now. We've got Soup on a run, and those guys going week in and week out providing meals for the homeless. I think it's about 25 meals. I'm trying to look for Mike and Sue here. About 30 on Friday, every week going out, and there's a list of needs that they need. These guys, week in and week out, just feeding those that are hungry. Why don't we give them a round of applause for everything they're doing, and the team that's involved there. We'd love you to be involved as well, of reaching out to other things. At the end of this year, we want to train 4 CAP facilitators for a CAP money course that we're going to put on. The first one we want to put on just before Christmas, so we can put it on in November, and we can actually help people realize that there's some financial things that they can do in their lives to make a total difference. Even down to things like our Christmas hampers. We were able to do 40 hampers this year without any contacts, but yet we've got more agencies contacting us all the time and asking if we can have some help. We've done beds. We've been able to put showers in people's homes. We've been able to do some heating for some people. We've been able to do food. We've been able to do all sorts of furniture that's gone out, because we've had also some funders that have actually looked to support us in the work that we want to do. One of those funders, as I wrote to them and said, would you support the work of God as we go out and tell people about the love of God? They came back after about a week with an email. They said, we have never supported a church before in the UK, but you will be our first church of sponsorship that we've ever taken on. Come on, isn't that great? That's fantastic. And God is doing some tremendous things, and we're asking you just to get on board today. So have a look through your leaflet, see what there is. There's another thing called Thrive. Just somebody's come and said, do you know, I've been abused in the past myself. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to help other abused women that are going through stuff. I want to help them on the journey of how to move forward. And we know there's lots of different people that have had a difficult journeys in life, both male and female. And we're going to have a meeting soon where we can bring together and see how we can best stretch out and bring restoration into people's lives. So exciting times, guys. It's reaching out to our community and loving our community. So, Mims, we're going to talk about our first thing, which is called treasure chest.
Treasure chest. Woo! No? Okay, just me. Yeah! Okay, so treasure chest, it's in your leaflets. It's part of what Nigel's been talking about. That when we were talking and praying about this project, the verse from Matthew 25 about the parable of the talents was what we were really focusing on. And if you don't know that story, it's about a master who gives to 3 of his servants different amounts of money or talents, depending on your translation. And the point of it is that every single person is given something. God has gifted every single one of us with something to be used for his kingdom, for his glory. And so often we think, oh, we haven't got anything. And so actually we take what he's given us, almost ignore it, pretend it's not there, and we bury it. And in the story of the parable, we read about one of the servants that did this, and it didn't end well for him. So we don't want to do that. We want everybody to think about what God has put in your hand. What has he put in your hand that you can bring to the treasure chest? And that when God comes back, when we stand before our master, he will turn to us and say, well done, good and faithful servants. Come, celebrate with me. Let's have the most amazing party because of what we've all done together. And so the question is, what has God put in your hand?
Fantastic. So in the package that you've got on your seats today, there's a card that says, what do you have in your hand? And it's got a treasure chest. And on the back, it's just got your name, your number, what you think you can kind of give. Now, when I was growing up, it was all about dressing up. It was being cowboys and Indians. It was about being pirates. It was about all those things. And it was about that journey that you could do, that map that you made up yourself. And the hope was that you would go around and you would come across a treasure chest. And as you open that treasure chest, it would be full of coins. It would be full of gems. It would be full of all the things that you could have that could bring value to your life. The thing is about this treasure chest, about the Rediscover treasure chest, it isn't about what we can have. It's about what we can give. And we're not looking for you to do another 7.5 day a week. We're not looking for you to do another volunteering time for another day a week or whatever. We're just looking for you to examine your heart today and to say, what could I put in the treasure chest? What do you think we could put?
So our absolute dream is that something happens in Devon and one of the county councils goes, oh, okay, so there's a need. Who do we call for this? Rediscover Church. There's a lingo in that, right? Can you hear it? Rediscover Church. We would love it if we were known for a people that had practical things that just loved on people. So Nigel already mentioned earlier about putting in showers and doing other things like that. So if you've got a practical skill, please put it down, bang it in the treasure chest. But that doesn't excuse the rest of us that are like, well, it's all right, I don't build. There's other stuff we can do. Do you knit? Maybe actually you sit there knitting, and one of the things on the Transform is the bag of hope, where we want to give bags to those that have to, probably from domestic abuse, have to run away from it, some with children, some without. Could you put together some bags for us? Could you be the ones that maybe knitted a cardigan for a little baby that needs it in hospital? There are 1,000 things we can do. We've all got a gift. One of the things we really want is a baker, isn't it?
The baker, yeah. We just got in my heart that we've got so many children around Exeter that are actually young carers and caring for parents in their own homes. And life is very, very difficult. And just something in me said, I wonder how many bakers we have in the church. How many people can bake? Who could put on here that they could bake or make a cake? And perhaps next year or this coming year, for every single young carer who is looking after an adult, we could do a birthday cake for them and we could send it to them through the agencies and we could just say, happy birthday from Rediscover and we love you. How about that? Yeah? Yeah? And it's that type of stuff that we truly and really want to get involved in. So you don't have to be a plumber, just a plumber. You don't have to just be a plasterer. If you are and you want to help us out with those things, put it down. If you've got a skill, put it on the form, because we truly want to bless people's lives.
There's just one other area that I think actually all of us can think about actually giving our time to. And that is a simple act of babysitting. There are so many needs, people suffering with depression, single mums, people that just need a break from their kids. And actually we, DBS checked, I will add that in, I didn't in the first service, we will DBS check you, it will be safe. We could actually have a catalogue of people that we could ring, and we can go, do you know what, there's a family over there that just, it doesn't even have to be single parents, it could be a married couple that just need a break. And actually we can go, we'll take your kids, we'll absolutely take them for the day, and we'll do something nice with them, you can have the break. My heart would love to see Christmas time, a whole bunch of us in here looking after kids. Let the parents go, let those single mums have that shopping time and those moments of breathing that just overwhelms them. We could do that service. We could help a mum who wants to come out to an Alpha course but has no one to look after her kids. There are practical needs that we can do simply by watching a TV in someone else's house. So even these small things are things we can put into the treasure chest because they're taken and they're used by God, and that is what this is all about.
So we're really asking that today, before you leave, and over the next few weeks we're going to have a sign-up table, but today, if you could just take a pen, come to the back, we have some pens, and there's a big chest back there. Put what your talent is. Are you wasting it? Have you buried it? Or are you investing it in the kingdom of God? Perhaps this week, you could go into a world and you could see a need. And you could say, there's a need, but I can't do that. But I've got a treasure chest of 300 people that has skills, that has talents, and are ready to invest into somebody's life to make change. So guys, take your card. Don't avoid our eyes on the way out today. Take your card, fill it out if you can, and we're going to put it in the big chest at the back. Thank you, Mims. Let's give Mims a round of applause if that's okay. Wonderful. Thank you, darling. I'm going to invite Jamie, if he could come up to the stage with me. That would be absolutely great. Here he comes. Good-looking Jamie. Here he is, look. Oh, I used to be slim once. Okay, in you go, Jamie. How you doing, mate? You okay? Fantastic. Okay, guys, we've got something that we want to introduce to you. It's called the Hot Dog Outreach. How about that? The Hot Dog Outreach. Now, okay, who wants a hot dog right now? Who'd like a hot dog? If you like a hot dog, put your hands up. We've got some trays that are coming out, and they're going to be handing out some hot dogs when we're talking right now. Who'd like a hot dog?
A bit cold in the first surface. We've tried to make them a bit warmer.
Great.
Just eat them straight away.
Inside, you should also find a packet of sauce as well that you could have. Pastor Mark wanted a hot dog, if that's okay, down the front. Too late, they're all gone. Wonderful. I saw a hot dog being thrown across a whole row. Such was the desperation for a hot dog. Fantastic. So, Jamie, our heart is that we want to reach out to people. And why don't you tell the guys here today, why don't you tell them about what the Hot Dog Outreach is all about?
Yeah, so a little while ago, me, my girlfriend Brie, and her brother Jack, we went to LA. There's a place called the Dream Center, which is this big old hospital that they managed to get their hands on. And they just run a load of outreach things. There's loads of great things, but one of them was just making up some hot dogs, going out to deprived areas. So there's Skid Row, which is about 11,000 homeless people confined into a few blocks. And we just went out and we gave them a hot dog, we gave them some water. It's nice having the hot dog, but we kind of made a point that it's not really about the hot dog. The hot dog's the invitation for a conversation. And we would just sit for a couple hours and just chat and just spend time with them. Some of them knew God already, and it was just great to hear stories, and some of them didn't, and we could just sit and pray with them and just spend time with them and know that they're loved. We got a bit teary in the first service. I'm going to try and keep it together. And we just kind of, when we came back, I just thought, walking past someone who's experiencing homelessness, you can't just here I go again. You can't just walk past and do nothing. I think when people try and empathise with them and think, what would it be like to be homeless? You don't truly think, because it gets to the point where it's so tough, you block it out and carry on. And I think if you actually just sat down and thought, you might not have a decent pair of shoes, you might not have a coat, you don't have a place to go, and 5 minutes of thinking about what it's like, it's unbearable. So we just want to go out and just, when we say on Sunday, we're coming to church, we're not. The church is gathering. We are the church. And we've said it before, we need to go out and do stuff. And there's just something so powerful when they say, oh, shouldn't you be in church? We can say we are the church and we're coming out and finding you and just letting you know that we love you.
Come on, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? And what we're believing for and what we're thinking is that we want to do the hot dog challenge, but it's not another night. Challenge, not a hot dog challenge. There's hot dog outreach, isn't it? That could be a different thing. We could do a hot dog challenge.
It could be fun.
Yeah. We want to do the hot dog outreach, and we want to do it during the second service on a Sunday.
Yeah, so the reason we thought, well, it was your idea, but I just thought it was a great idea, is that, it's lunchtime.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. Yeah.
It was your idea. It's lunchtime, we go out, and it's exactly that thing of, shouldn't you be in church at Sunday? And that's that powerful message of we're coming out to find you and seek you and let you know that you're loved. And also you can come to the first service if you're on team helping out, come to the first service and then go out. It's double church. It's brilliant. And then coming back, if you wanna.
Yeah, so coming back, I think the great thing is we want to try and build the bridge between both church and being outside, service and the church being outside. And our hearts we want to not only just be able to reach those that are homeless, guys, and Jamie will say some more about that in a moment, but actually these are great opportunities to give someone a hot dog and to ask them if they need prayer, ask them if they need help this week in any way, ask them if us as a community can make their life somewhat better. And then we can come back with that list. We can come back from all those guys that have been out there with people. We can say we've got 30 prayer requests, and together, before the end of the service, we can lift them up to God and say, God, move on our community. Wouldn't it be great when we first come back and we say, someone had a hot dog and gave their lives to Jesus? Huh?
Yeah, so that.
It's not just about the homeless, is it, Jamie?
No, this is when we kind of first experienced it. But, there's not just people experiencing homelessness that are having a tough time. There's people in here having a tough time. There's people out there having a tough time. And at the end of the day, if they don't know God and they don't know what Jesus has done for them, they need a hot dog. They need a conversation. They need us to chat to them and just let them know. So it's not just the homeless people. And just quickly, the stepping out and the prayer request. In America, it can be easier because it's their kind of culture as such. It's a little bit more like that. It's easier. Well, why can't we just bring that back, Don't accept that that's their culture. Let's make it our culture. Let's go out and let people know that that's what we do. And it is hard, but the thing is, we're not just helping them. When you do it, it's not always comfortable, and it stretches you so much, and nothing we can ever do is going to be good enough for God. You have to accept that. He died for our sins, and that's it. And you can either take that as that's great, and I accept that, and then live a comfortable life, or you can say that's great, and although I can never do enough, I've accepted that blessing, and I'm going to do all I can to serve God, and that's when you get blessed 10 times over, and it's just so amazing. Just quickly again, sorry.
Go for it.
I don't know if Jerry's here. I called Jerry out in the first service, but we went out with the young adults, and we had 10 people go out, and it was great. And we saw this woman who was on the street with a dog, and this dog was going bananas. It was just going nuts. And I said, I think she's having a bad day. We'll go move on to someone else. And Jerry said, oh, you know what? I know that dog. It's actually a really nice dog. Hates other dogs, but with people, it's absolutely fine. So I let Jerry lead the way, and we kind of went behind him. And we sat for ages and just spoke to her. And if Jerry wasn't there, we wouldn't have gone over. And that's when you just strengthen each other. You're talking about these strengths and gifts that people have. You can bounce off each other. Yeah. And it's so good.
So we're going to go out with the hot dogs and make conversations, make opportunities to pray. And it could be not just someone who's homeless, but it could be a few lads that are on a corner and they're perhaps got their bikes. It could be a little child who's having a meltdown and the mum looks like she's just going to explode. It could be an elderly couple that are sat there together and they're having a little rest after walking up the town, and we actually go over and offer a hand. So many opportunities of reaching out into the lives of people. Do you know, when Jamie came and we sat together in the office, I just saw the dream on this man's heart. And I was captivated by his passion, was captivated by his vision. You know, we'd love it to see it grow. Maybe we'll go out with hot bags at the moment, but we'd love to see a cart, wouldn't we? We'd love to see something we can drag behind us, the hot dog outreach cart. We'd love other churches to phone us and say, can we borrow your hot dog outreach cart? We'd love other towns to come and say, could you come and evangelize with your hot dog outreach cart? We just want to say, come on, God, do something. And I just want to say, Jamie, I've never said this in the first service, but I just want to say the hand of God is upon you. God has something. You are a dreamer in God. Keep dreaming. Keep believing. As you dream, God will bring things to action. Man created the ark. God then brought the flood. God created man, and then he blew his spirit upon it. As you dream, as you bring structure, God will bring the Spirit of God upon things and will do things that you never, ever dreamed of before. Okay, amen. Just one other thing. Right, we had this conversation, didn't we? And interview in the last service. I was at the back by the table and somebody came up and said, as long as this ministry is in operation, I will give £100 a month to provide all the materials that can give out to people on the street. Huh? And that's what Jesus does. Come on, let's give Jamie a round of applause. Jesus is good. God is good. This is church in action. This is what it's all about. Fantastic. Okay, we've got a little video. Please excuse the video that we're going to just do. There's a bit of trouble with lip sync action. So if we can get over that, just have a little look. We're going to highlight Restore. There were so many things that we could have highlighted and hope in the future we will highlight as well. But just have a look at the video, and then Faye, who runs Restore, will be coming in and saying a few words for us. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
44 people in the southwest were found to be victims of modern-day slavery last year. This is when a person's forced to work against their will. In Avon and Somerset, 20 people were identified as being suspected victims of slavery. In Devon and Cornwall, there were 18, and in Dorset, 6. Police in the southwest believe the true number of people being exploited is far higher. Well, now a new scheme is being piloted to help them. The first refuge in Devon and Cornwall for survivors of human trafficking is about to open. Our reporter Harriet Bradshaw has been finding out more.
I met Nikki from Romania, who tells me she was brought to England last year by her husband, who forced her into prostitution.
I was so scared about him, because he beat me so much all the time, and he broke my hand, he broke my legs, he broke my head, everything, It's not good, this. And I want, every girl who is in this situation, I want, don't be scared and go and report to the police.
After 5 months, she managed to tell the police, and she started a new life in Devon, where the charity Restore has been supporting her. It's now opening the door to others who have escaped exploitation.
So this is the upstairs. We've got 4 nice-sized rooms. This one's en suite.
They've secured this safe place to house 4 survivors, which will open soon.
This is the first provision within Devon and Cornwall for survivors of modern slavery to come to. And we'll work with someone for up to 12 months, helping them to rebuild their lives, and we help them learn English, get job skills, gaining confidence, gain positive relationships.
And the police here say they're seeing more exploitation in the region. They're working with other agencies to educate people on how to spot the signs of slavery And the police are piloting a new system to try and speed up getting help to those who need it.
Well, behind every single one of those, you will find someone who's been stripped of their humanity, who's been potentially sold, who's trying to do the right thing and gain employment only to have their money stripped away, have been forced to live a lie, often live in squalor, and actually to become a commodity themselves that is bought and sold and moved without free will.
My life's changed completely, you know. I am a new person. I am not who I am before. You know, I'm free.
It's hoped more survivors will be given the chance of a new life. Harriet Bradshaw, BBC Spotlight.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, and thanks, Nigel. I'm Faye. Nigel mentioned I was actually pregnant in that video, but you can't see it. I just feel like I'm huge, and anyway, it's lovely to be here today, and I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about Restore. You know, we hear about slavery at school. We learn about it in our history books. We often think, oh, I'm so pleased that that doesn't happen anymore. Such a terrible thing that happened in our past. We learn about William Wilberforce, who is one of the heroes of the faith and passed the Abolition of Slavery Act almost 200 years ago through Parliament and standing for that. Some of you may have heard of the slavery ships and how down at the bottom they would have people who were chained and living in squalor and dying. And yet upstairs on the top decks, the slave masters would be holding church just right there above them, praying to God, doing their praise and worship, completely numb and oblivious to the suffering of the people below. The transatlantic slave industry, they reckon that there were 13 million people affected by it. In 2016, there was a large piece of research done by the Global Slavery Index, and they estimate that 46 million people are living in slavery today. 46 million people living in slavery today. The Pope refers to it as the evil of our times. And yet it's happening around the world, but also in this country. The Home Office estimate that up to 18,000 people are affected in the UK by slavery. Over 5,000 people were rescued last year and managed to escape. But studies would say that up to 50% of those people are going to be re-slaved, re-trafficked, go back to their traffickers, re-exploited within the first 2 years because they're not getting the support that they need. And I know I've just thrown a lot of numbers at you, but sometimes I think to myself, what if just one of those people was my child? What if one of those people was my best friend, going over to think they've got a great job in a different country, and I just don't hear from them, and then it turns out they're being exploited without me knowing about it? What about if it was my mum, my dad? Those numbers are all one person, and one person that is precious, and one person that's precious to God. At Restore, like you saw in the video, we have a safe house. We work with 4 women at a time, and they can stay with us for up to 12 months to rebuild their lives, to get the life skills that they need to move on with their lives. You know, the women that we work with, I've got the privilege of working with, they've all got different stories, different heartbreaking stories. It might be that they've been repeatedly raped and beaten. It could be that they've been forced to sleep on floors, forced to work long hours for their traffickers and never see a penny of that money. It could be that they're malnourished because for years they've been living on scraps and leftover of someone else's meal. It could be that they've had to have back alley abortions. It could be that they've been trafficked and had to work as prostitutes, as children. These women have had things happen to them that you and I could never imagine and would never really want to imagine it. But the thing they have in common, even though their stories are different, is this incredible determination to keep on going. This determination to not call quits, even though life's dealt them a rough card, not call quits, but to keep on going, to not give up, and to hold on to the hope that their lives can be rebuilt, that they can have restoration in their lives, and that they can live the dreams that they have inside of them to live. You know, William Wilberforce, we talk about him as this great man and what he did, and he was amazing. But it wasn't just him that passed the Abolition of Slavery Act over 200 years ago. It wasn't just him. He didn't do it by himself. It was him with hundreds of people stood side by side, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, saying, we're not going to turn a blind eye that this is happening in our society. We're not going to pretend it's not happening. We're going to do something about it, and I'm going to do my little, whatever I've got, my treasure, whatever I've got to make that difference and to make a stand against this abhorrent crime. And I'm talking to you about Restore today because even though I've got the privilege of leading it and we've got a great team that helped me, we would like to offer you the invitation to stand with us, shoulder to shoulder, and make that difference in someone's life. We've got 3 simple ways you could go about that, and they're going to come up on the screen at the moment. The first is, change costs something. Change always costs something, and it often costs money. We're a project that doesn't get any, big pots of funding or any access to that, and we're asking you, if this is something that touches your heart, that you would pray about sponsoring a survivor each month. Maybe that's £5, £10, £25, and that money would directly go towards changing someone's life. That you might not be able to give your time to meet with that person, look at them in the face, but that your money would be making that difference and giving them the opportunity to rebuild their life. It could be that you've got time and energy. During praise and worship, I'm seeing everyone singing and dancing and clapping. I know you've got energy. So if you've got a bit of time to go with that, we'd love you to get involved, whether that's with volunteering, come and join our incredible team. And we've got various different volunteering opportunities, from befriending to helping out in the office. Or if you've got in your heart to run a marathon or to do something crazy, go do a skydive, then we'd love you to raise money for Restore doing that. Mims is organising this great inflatable fun run. Come talk to her, join in with that. Leanna's organising a bike ride. If you'd like to do that, come and get sponsored and have some fun together doing that. And then thirdly, the last way is we would love you to come on the 8th of April, just for an hour of your time, and come and talk to me, come and talk to some of the team and find out a little bit more about Restore. Find out about what we're doing, find out about the lives touched and changed, find out about the problem of modern slavery, and then you can take that with you and help us spread the word. So thanks for listening. It's great to be here. Thanks, Nigel.
Thanks, Faye. Fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. So for us today, it's about our talents and our time. It's also about our finances, but it's never just about money, because it's just about change. It's about being able to change somebody's life. It's being able to use what we have, whether that's time, energy, finances, whatever it may be, to impact the life of someone else. I was thinking as we were planning this, and we've had such a great planning team, and thank you to Solomons, and thank you to Leanna and Mims and Adam and Faye, and give them a round of applause for everything that they've done this morning and part of the Transform team. It's absolutely fantastic. But as we were planning, I was thinking, do you know, if I was just to give up one latte a week, I could then afford to do £10 a month towards a project or into a project that only wouldn't just benefit me, but actually would bring a real change in somebody else's life. So today we're just asking you to consider, but also you can get involved with things like the sponsored bike ride. I have no idea what that sort of stuff's about. I get tired running a bath, you know what I mean? But you get involved with that sort of thing, but also, very importantly as well, take your card. Please fill it in, even if you don't know what your talent is, just put your name on the card and say, I'd love to chat to someone, and I'll get in contact with you. We'll have a coffee and we'll see what God can do in your life. And we've got a big box at the back. Don't leave it on your seat, but we've got a big treasure box at the back, and come and just place it in there. And as you place it in there, you say, I'm ready to work for the kingdom of God.